Nancy, each week we get on here and we look at the stories that we have, and we've always got plenty of stories, but it's almost like overwhelming the amount of news there is now before the Olympics from women's sports and all sports and some non-Olympic sports too. Yeah,
I mean, it's just it's hard to know whether there's more or maybe just, more coverage. So there's more kind of awareness of what's happening, but it is... it's kind of almost weirdly a quiet period. It should be a quiet period because it's like in the run up to the Olympics, in that there's not many events happening, but it's meant to be kind of the calm before the storm. But it's, very, very busy. But of course, that's good for both of us because we're in sport.
It certainly is. A huge amount of sport out there, and we're going to bring you a few stories as usual. You've picked, I'd say more than a handful, but some really great stories. We're going to start with the Olympics because obviously we're going to get plenty of Olympic news now for the next few weeks. So we'll just start right there, and it's a new rule that's coming out of Tokyo and the IOC with regards to athletes' demonstrations.
Yeah, so there was going to be, this has been discussed quite a lot for really the past 2-3 years. And it kind of centers around Rule 50, which is a policy that meant there was to be no kind of demonstration of political, religious or racial propaganda in any of the Olympic sites, venues or other areas, which basically meant that kind of no athlete could stage a protest without potentially being punished for it. And obviously this has caused a lot of controversy because, it's, especially at the moment, a lot of athletes are using their voices to talk about issues that they care about, whether that's racism or sexism. So, it was a very controversial rule. But it seems like the IOC Athletes Commission is considering, or quite likely to, relax this rule slightly to allow protests or demonstrations at specific times and in certain areas. So this could be like when players line up before a football match, or when like swimmers come into the venue before they get in the pool. So it's quite I think it, definitely does appease a lot of athletes, because in what, when I was thinking about it, Team GB, the women's football team, over here in England, they've been kneeling all season before the game as a kind of anti-racism kind of symbol. And so they've done that all season. And then we've had quite an intense discussion here recently in recent weeks about how important it is, because we've had the England men's team kneel before games and be booed by the crowd. So there's been, a lot of debate about what it means and how it's very important that the players want to do it and that they do it. So for them then to go to the Olympics and then, not do it or be not allowed to do it, even though they're not kind of staging like a disruptive protest, it's always just a symbol they've done for something, they would just want to make a stand against racism. That was always kind of something that I saw, like, how would the IOC deal with that? Because it's not necessarily them really going against the rules. It's just them doing something that they've always done because they believed in it. So then this kind of relaxation of the rule allows players to take the knee, and I think kind of takes the pressure off the IOC, because they've said, blanket ban, you're not allowed to do it at all. And I think that would have caused a lot of problems for them. And by this relaxation, I think now they can be a bit more lenient, and it's going to prevent some conflicts with a lot of the athletes that would want to protest.
Yeah, I think that's very true. They've saved themselves a lot of trouble, as you say, because it could have gotten super controversial once we got to the games, because there are so many people protesting now. And you actually have a story that came out earlier this week from the US on just that subject.
Yeah, so Gwen Berry, who is the hammer thrower, and I remember being at the Pan American Games in 2019, and she raised her fist on the podium. She won gold, I think, and she was penalised. Her and Racing Bowden, who had knelt on the podium the day before, they were both penalised by the United States Olympic Committee, and again that caused controversy. So she's always been, quite a key figure in this debate about athlete protests at the games, and she So she, again, kind of making headlines, was at the US Olympic trials, and she finished third and was on the podium. And apparently they'd been playing the national anthem kind of throughout the day at the venue. And then the anthem started while Berry was on the podium getting her medal. So she turned away from the flag and then held up a black T-shirt that read athlete activist. And she said afterwards that she felt like it was a setup, like it had been done on purpose. The fact that she'd been on the podium when the anthem had started playing. Because I was a bit confused by it, because that must have meant that they weren't playing the anthem when the flag was being raised normally, because that is normally what happens at the Olympics. But maybe there must have been a rule, like the way they'd done it must have been that it was just the flags being raised and no anthem, and then it was coincidentally when she was on the podium that anthem started playing. So I think for me, she's, when we're talking about the relaxation of the ban, I think she's definitely someone that will kind of say, a protest is a protest because you're not meant to be doing it and it's meant to be disruptive. So I don't think in her case, and maybe some other athletes' cases as well, the IOC bans relaxing the ban. I don't think that's going to mean that she necessarily changes her attitude to protest. And I think she still will find a way to do it somewhere she's not meant to, because kind of the whole point of protest is to be doing something that you're not meant to be doing and kind of sending out a message. So I still think that if she does podium at the Olympics, I think she could be one that again might have a bit of antagonism with the IOC.
Yes, for sure. Well, we're going to stay with the Olympics this time at gymnastics. Simone Biles, I mean, what's not to like about that woman? I mean, she's just extraordinary. She's going to be heading to her second Olympic Games. She already got 4 gold medals under her belt. Who knows what she's capable of in Tokyo? Yeah,
I mean, I think kind of everyone knows Simone Biles, and everyone knows that I think she is probably the greatest gymnast of all time, and we're very lucky to be living at a time where we can watch her live. She finished first at the US Olympic trials and booked her place. I mean, it was very expected, but booked her place at the Olympics. And she'll be joined by Sunisa Lee, Jordan Childs and Grace McCallum for the team competition. And then Jade Carey and Michaela Skinner are going to be part of the team, but just competing in the individual events. So it's a very, very strong team. Obviously, Biles is the key name there, but it is her second Olympics, and there's a few athletes are in there that are a bit younger. So it could be possible that there could be another American gymnast that uses Tokyo to make their mark. And maybe, I mean, I can't really see anyone ending Simone Biles' domination just yet. Like, I think this is still going to be her games, but I think it's going to be interesting to see how the other American gymnasts do as well.
Yes, I mean, they've got a very strong card. They really do. It's going to be thrilling to watch. But, I was really taken by another American athlete this weekend who broke the 400-meter world record for hurdles, but could have qualified for 400 meters on the flat with her time. An extraordinary record for her going into the games. What a confidence boost this was for Sydney McLaughlin. Yeah,
this was incredible. So it's a world record in the women's 400 meters, 51.90 seconds. So the first woman to run under 52 seconds in the women's 400 meter hurdles. It's also setting up a very interesting battle in that race, because she beat in the trials final, she beat Dalilah Muhammad, who was the previous world record holder. So Muhammad had set the previous world record at the 2019 World Athletics Championships, where she'd got the world title, and McLaughlin had finished second. So now this time it seems like McLaughlin's kind of on her way up, and Muhammad is the one that's kind of chasing her. And obviously, I think it's quite rare to have 2 world record holders battling out essentially at the same time. They're kind of beating each other and setting new world records. Like, sometimes you just get someone that completely dominates a race, they set the world record and no one can come close. But in this situation, you've got 2 people that are setting the fastest times in the world. So this sets up a really, really great battle for the Olympics. And Yeah, I'm not obviously McLaughlin now is favourite to win gold, but you never know. I think Mohammed will probably have something to say about that as well.
Yes, I think she will. Yeah, and the expression on her face afterwards, she couldn't believe it that she'd broken the world record.
Yeah, she just looked completely shocked. It's quite. I think as well. It was really, really hot in Oregon where the trials are taking place. So I think that the race had been delayed because of that, pushed back further into the evening, and I think she was probably like, oh, these conditions, I can try and win, but you're probably not thinking these are the conditions where I'm going to get a world record. So
yes, quite.
That probably explains some of the shock.
Absolutely, yeah. They're getting a heat wave there on the West Coast. But earlier this week, we're going to switch now. We're going to get away from the Olympics for a moment. We're going to switch to tennis because earlier this week, Wimbledon started. And I saw crowds there too. It just kind of looked pretty normal. What was happening there at the start of the Wimbledon fortnight, Nancy?
Yeah, so Wimbledon has started today. Obviously, it's a very big deal over here. It's probably one of our favourite sporting events. So it's obviously a bit different because of coronavirus. And I mean, the event didn't even happen last year because of the pandemic. So I think people were just quite relieved that we get a Wimbledon this year. But it's 50% capacity. And it's also part of a kind of test event. It's a test event for the government's kind of going back to normal plans. So I was telling you before, we've got kind of COVID passports where you either show you're double vaccinated, show you've had a negative PCR test, or show that you've recently had COVID, so you're naturally immune. And it's kind of like only people that have a COVID passport can go in. I think they're going to build up the crowds eventually to full capacity for the final. So if that goes to plan, that'd be incredible. I think after like a year and a half with hardly any crowds at any sporting events. The crowd there, they were treated to some good matchups already. I think the biggest shock so far, although obviously there are still some matches taking place this evening, but Sloane Stephens beat Petra Kvitova. I can never say her name. Kvitova.
Yeah.
Who, I mean, Sloane Stephens is obviously a very good tennis player, but Kvitova is a 2-time Wimbledon champion. She's probably one of the favourites going into the tournament. So Sloane Stephens got a bit of an upset there. And Victoria Azarenka as well. I think she's really one to watch. She's had a really, really good year so far. Relatively kind of new to the... No, sorry. Did I say Azarenka? I didn't mean. You said Azarenka. I meant Sabalenka.
Sabalenka.
Yes. Sorry, I didn't mean Azarenka. Sabalenka. They're both
pleased to hear that.
Really, really, really similar names. I didn't mean Azarenka because Azarenka is not new to the tennis scene at all. She's been there for a while. No, Sabalenka has had a really good year so far. Kind of broken into mainstream tennis, and she won her opening match as well. I think she's looking really good. So, it's been good so far, and hopefully we'll have a few more, couple of weeks, 3 weeks of really good tennis.
Yeah, but not for the British girl.
Oh.
Johanna Konta.
Oh, yeah.
That's really bad luck for her.
It is very bad luck, and she has been having a decent time. She won the Nottingham Open in the run-up to Wimbledon, and I think she was probably feeling quite positive. But that's probably the wrong word to use, actually, because a member of her team has tested positive for COVID. So she's had to self-isolate for 10 days, which I think is, really, really gutting. And it's probably just a reminder to kind of everyone involved that obviously coronavirus is still a thing, it's still a threat. It could, you could test positive, or someone in your entourage could test positive, and that's you out of the competition. And I think a lot of athletes will just be praying it doesn't happen to them at the Olympics.
Yeah, for sure. That's such bad luck. I mean, I know she's one of the favourite, for the British representation anyway. Hopefully she'll be able to go to Tokyo. But there's a top player who is not going, and that is Serena Williams.
Yeah, so Serena Williams, she has said that she's not going to play at the Olympics. She has spoken a bit about this before, and it kind of sounded like she didn't want to, obviously with the restrictions, the COVID restrictions, you have to kind of be by yourself, really, really strict. And she didn't really want to be apart from her daughter, her 3-year-old daughter, for too long. She said that previously. She didn't say this as the reason why she has now decided not to compete. She said she would go into the reasons another day, but she didn't want to say at the time. But I think, obviously kind of Serena Williams is towards the end of her career. So this does seem like it will be her last Olympics. And it is a bit of a shame because she is kind of one of the most successful female tennis players at the Olympics. She's won gold medal 4 times, competed at Sydney, London, Beijing, and Rio, I think.
And Rio.
Yeah. So, it's a bit of a shame, but, with all the restrictions and with the risks, what we've just been talking about, it's also quite understandable.
Yes, totally. And, being a mother too, I mean, her priorities are starting to shift, no doubt, to be away from her daughter for an extended period like that. Because I'm sure, because they can't take family, that's obviously a factor for athletes like her who have done enough Olympics to be able to say, I'll stay home this time, if my family can't come with me. Yeah.
I mean, it's quite it's a tricky one, isn't it? I think for her, she's done it so many times that it's just kind of, might as well just skip this one.
Yes. All right, well, we're going to move on to motor racing now. You've got a story from the W Series.
Yeah, so this is the W Series is back in action. So for people that aren't aware, it's a female motorsport event. I think the idea essentially is to get more women into F1. And this is essentially going to be kind of building the drivers up to that and hopefully kind of creating that pathway. I mean, it's very early days. So the first season was in 2019, and it was very successful. But then obviously 2020, the pandemic stopped the second season. So that is now taking place now. And they have kind of gone bigger and better. They now are partnered with F1. So the race takes place at the same time. It's the same weekend and in the same venue as the F1 Grand Prix. There's, they've got all these broadcast deals and new sponsors, and they're eventually transitioning it into more of a team event. So you have like Puma and other brands like that kind of having, a team of drivers, and with the cars will be decorated in the logos and stuff, more like an F1 race. It was back in action this weekend. I didn't get to watch any, but I did follow it on social media, and it seemed like a really dramatic race. British drivers did pretty well. So Alice Powell, she poled first in the practice race on Friday, and so was first in the real race, and was just managed to kind of keep her lead the whole race and finished in first place as well. So she's kind of set herself as the one to beat for the coming races. And then as well, there's kind of more history made when Sarah Moore, who is also British, she finished second, and in doing so became the first LGBTQ plus driver to podium during an F1 Grand Prix weekend, which is amazing. And then, so there's Jamie Chadwick as well. So she's probably one of the most well-known female motorsport racers, I'd say, but she actually had quite a disappointing weekend. She struggled in the qualifying race because she had a cracked carbon pipe, and then was rammed during the real race, and then kind of fell down the field and eventually finished 7th. But I definitely wouldn't write her off, because she won the first series, and she's only 22 and she's incredibly talented. And I think people have always said, if we're going to have a woman in F1, it's going to be Jamie Chadwick. So that's definitely one to watch. The next race is this weekend. So if anyone wants to watch it, I think it's on the 3rd, which is Saturday.
Yes.
It's a Saturday. Yeah.
Yep. Day before our July 4th. big day for us.
Of course, yeah.
Yeah, it's very exciting, that series. It really is. And the number of talented women that are competing in that, and not least of all, British too. So, yeah, we will follow that series. Keep you posted, all along with the Olympic news too. But we're going to switch to netball now, to the Netball Super League. You've got an update from what's happening there with the Netball Super League final, haven't you?
Yeah, so the Netball Super League season came to an end here at the weekend, and it's the format of it is very kind of quite American. So you've got a normal table, and then the top four go into like it's like the grand final weekend. So they go into like a playoff. So they have the semi-finals and then the final. So you could end up in a situation where the team that tops the table doesn't actually win overall. But in this situation, the team that topped the table, Loughborough Lightning, they did win the overall title. And it was actually their fourth attempt, because they'd been in the final 3 times previous and hadn't managed to win. So this was their fourth final, and they finally won the title, which I'm sure they're very happy about. So they beat Team Bath 49-32. And again, there were some fans there. So there were 1,000 fans, and it took place at the Copper Box Arena, which was one of the venues for the London 2012 Olympics as well, which is quite a nice venue for it to take place. So yeah, it's been, I think, quite a successful season. I think it was a bit, obviously with all the COVID restrictions and the pandemic kind of stopping sport altogether, I think netball was one of the sports that definitely struggled with that the most, and especially because it's, kind of handling the ball as well, that there was a lot of protocol in place, but they've managed to get the Super League back on its feet and running and have a really successful season. And I'm sure next season it will just be even bigger and better than before.
Yeah, well, it is the fastest growing women's team sport in the world, which is amazing. So, yeah, very, very popular, a very successful series, that Super League. We're going to switch to golf now, and news from the Women's PGA Championships over here in Atlanta.
Yeah, so Nelly Korda has become the world number 1 in golf after winning the Women's PGA Championship. And that's actually her first major title, which I was quite surprised by, because I feel like Nelly Korda has been a name that's been going around for quite a while. Right. But obviously, yeah, she just hasn't won a major before. So, yeah, well done to her. And again, she's very young. She's 22 as well. So obviously she's got, many, many years ahead of her. She said that she couldn't believe it and she was still in shock, but that world number 1 had a lovely ring to it. So she's obviously enjoyed her victory there.
Yeah, for sure. And if anyone who pays attention to sport and they think, oh, Korda, that's a familiar name. Well, she's got a famous father, hasn't she?
Does she? I don't know.
Yeah,
like,
father
you know better than me.
Tennis player.
Oh, okay, yeah. Well, there we go.
Won the Australian Open back in the 90s.
Amazing. Yeah, so obviously from sporting pedigree.
Definitely from sporting pedigree. Absolutely. Well, good for her. That's a tremendous win for her. All right, what's that about the Eurobasket you're talking about over there? Serbia wins women's Eurobasket. I guess perhaps some people over here in the US don't know what that means.
Yeah, so it's kind of like the European Championships for basketball. So I mean, it's not really that popular in England either, because we're not very good at basketball. But for a lot of the teams on the continent, like Serbia, for instance, who have won, I think it's quite a big deal. So yeah, like I said, Serbia beat France in the final to win their second women's Eurobasket title. It seemed like quite a close match. So Serbia won 63-54. So it seemed like quite a fun match. But I felt really sorry for France, because they've lost the past 5 finals of the event. So they also lost in 2019, 2017, 2015 and 2013. So they just must be thinking that they've got a bit of a curse on them when it comes to this final.
Yeah, you would think so. Yeah. All right. Well, tremendous. We've got one final story that comes back to cricket. We talked about cricket last week on the show, of course. We do regularly, but there's been a lot happening now. It's going to be a very, very busy summer for cricket, a non-Olympic sport, but we'll still have plenty of coverage here for you. A really good win for England, but I feel sorry for the Indians after this score. Tell us about it.
Yeah, so it was quite a, well, to be fair, I don't really know cricket that much, so I think maybe you're better placed to say it.
Well, what happened is, after England women beat India in the Test match well, it was a draw, wasn't it? The Test match.
Yeah.
They then went on to an ODI, one day international, and beat them quite convincingly, and in fact 202 for 2. And Indian women got 201 for 8, so it was an 8-wicket win. So that's pretty hard for the Indians to take, and they've obviously go back to the drawing board or go back to the nets, and really think about that, because it's not as if they have a shabby team. I mean, you know that much about cricket.
Oh, yeah, I know, of course, I know India are good at cricket. Yeah.
Yeah. So a bit disappointing for them, no doubt, but obviously a tremendous morale boost for the England women team, who are just getting stronger and stronger. They've just got some tremendous depth and breadth to their squad these days. So a good win for them. Well, what a lot of news. I don't know how many stories we've covered so far, but that's a lot of news this week, Nancy.
Yeah, it seems like a full range of sport as well. I think there was a bit of everything in there.
Yeah. Olympic sport and non-Olympic sport. So what will you be covering? More Olympic sport this week and next?
Yeah, I mean, Wimbledon is probably going to be the main event, really. Right. Yeah, got the W Series second race on Saturday. I think that's, then kind of just starting. I mean, the Olympics is for about 3 weeks away now, so it is starting to ramp up a bit.
It certainly is. And how's the marathon training going?
Yeah, it's good. It's I think I just need to be careful not to overdo it too much and to rest when I can, because my body is definitely getting tired. So I think it's just a case of making sure I have rest days and stuff. But it's going, still enjoying it.
Yeah, good. Okay, all right. Well, more news from you next week then.
Yeah, of course.
We're going to take a short break here, and we'll be back with an exclusive interview with Ireland hockey player Nicci Daly, who has been selected for the squad to make their Olympic debut at the Tokyo Olympic Games. So Ireland's Nicci Daly joins me now from Dublin, and she is in the final days of preparation to leave for her first Olympic Games. The team and the Green Army took the world by storm 2 years ago, 2019, at the World Cup in England, when they finished runners-up, winning the silver medal behind the Netherlands, who are top of the International Federation's standings right now. They will be the team to beat. But Ireland really made the world turn their heads 2 years ago, and with it gave them qualifications for the Olympic Games. So there'll be quite a buzz in Ireland as they send their team to Tokyo. Nicci, thanks for taking time to do this, because I know you're running around like a headless chicken just now, aren't you?
Yeah, it's been very busy the last couple of days. We're getting fed a lot of different information. We have a lot of stuff that we have to complete in time for Tokyo. So it's been a hectic schedule ever since we had the announcement of selection. I'm actually just back up from Cork, so I just got out of the car after a 3-hour trip. And a couple of interviews later, but yeah, it's good. It's all good.
Well, it is part of the package, isn't it? You know, this is what it looks like when you become an Olympian, and this is going to be your first Olympic Games. So there's an added excitement to this and anticipation, I would say, with the lead up, the build up, and then you finally know you're going. There's an awful lot that comes together all at once. Yeah,
this is my first Olympics, so I really don't know what to expect. In fact, it's the first Olympics for our team ever in the history of the Irish women's hockey team. So yeah, we really have no expectations on what an Olympic experience is like. And obviously with it being a COVID Olympics, it really won't make too much of a difference to us, because we've never been to a non-COVID Olympics, but we're all very excited, and we just can't wait to get out there now and really, experience it for ourselves and just take it all in. It's going to be wild.
It will be, yeah, because it's going to be unusual for even those that are seasoned Olympians. But let's just do a quick recap of Nicci, of how you got to this point this year, because it's been an up and down year. It's an interesting year, of course. Qualifying, that was all important. Just give us a quick overview of what that looked like for the team and for you particularly.
Well, we actually qualified in 2019, so we've been waiting a while for this moment to finally get here. But, obviously COVID stopped all sports, kind of not just here, but all over the world. And so we've been, back training since September 2020, probably full time. And we've managed to get a couple of camps away. We've managed to play European Championships in May last month. And yeah, we've managed to get a few matches here and there, which, when you look at other nations around the world, they actually haven't managed to get as much game time as we have or competition time. So I think it's going to be interesting when we get there, especially for hockey. I think it could be a little bit more of a level playing field. But yeah, it's been a long road to get here, not just, since we qualified, but probably since I started out my hockey journey back in 2009. The goal was always to get to an Olympic Games, and probably didn't appreciate at the time just how difficult and long a road it would be to actually finally get here. But I suppose it makes it even more special when you look back and see, all the ups and downs and the highs and lows that have happened in the last 12 years. It's a nice way to kind of end the journey for me anyway.
And from the team in 2019, how many of those same players have you got on this team?
A good chunk, actually. We did lose a couple of players this year through injury, unfortunately. But there's a good chunk of the kind of experienced squad, and there's a nice introduction of new players as well. So I think there's a bit of a balance there between, old and new or old and young.
Old and a mixture of experience and youth. But going into the games, what are your expectations? I know generally of the games because you've not been there before, but in terms of the form that you've been on, or the team the Green Army has been on this year with the coming out of those camps and the European Championships, how do you feel about your chances now? Because you did take the world by storm 2 years ago.
Yeah, I think, I think as a team, we're really excited. Like, I don't think we feel like we're under any huge pressure. As you said, like, this is our first Olympics. So we don't really have any huge expectations on ourselves from, an Olympic outcome point of view. But, obviously we're not there just to make up numbers or to take part. We do have ambitions to similarly to the World Cup, to do something special. And we were fairly confident that, when we look at our group, we're fairly confident in what we can achieve out of that group, and, getting out of the group, getting into a quarterfinal. And then it's just, you need a few things to go right for you. You need to perform well. You need a couple of things to go right for you, and maybe a little bit of luck on your side as well, which we got all of when we were in London in 2018 when we won the silver medal. So I think, there's no reason why we can't replicate what we did in London. But like I said, we need to perform well. You need a couple of things to go your way, and maybe, a little rub of the green as well to help you along. So yeah, look, we're confident in what we can do. Or we know that we've performed, maybe didn't perform our best at Europeans, but that doesn't mean to say we haven't performed well throughout the year. And it's just kind of, it was our first major tournament in 2 years playing in the Europeans. So there's a little bit of stress and anxiety as well around selection for Olympics. So I think it'll be just full focus now on the Olympics, and that'll be the only task at hand. And I think there'll be a little less weight on our shoulders, a little bit less pressure than maybe what we had feeling going into Europeans.
Yeah, and who will you be meeting in that first group, Nicci?
So our first game is against South Africa. And then we have Great Britain and India, and we have Germany and the Netherlands as well, all to play. So, there's enough opportunity there for us to make it out of the group, and also, enough opportunity there to maybe, take out one of the top teams along the way.
And how many caps is this for you now?
I'm going into the Olympics with 196, so I'm set to get my 200th cap against India, our fourth pool game. So that'll be pretty special to get a 200 cap at the Olympic Games.
That'd be extraordinary. We're going to wish you congratulations on that milestone, Nicci, before you even get there, because that's extraordinary.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's fabulous. Now, okay, quickly then, what do you have to do in the last few weeks, and when do you leave? What does that look like the next few weeks before departure?
So I got got training tomorrow night, sort of just regionally with the squad here in Dublin, and then we head to Belfast for a camp for 4 or 5 days. So we head there Friday, back Tuesday evening, and then we've got Wednesday and Thursday just to gather our thoughts and our bags and everything else before we depart on Friday, the 9th of July. So we head to Iwate, which is where our holding camp is. It's about 7 hours by bus south of Tokyo. And we'll spend, I think it's like 8 or 9 days down there doing a bit of a, climatization camp, getting used to the heat over there, and maybe get a couple of practice matches. And then we move into the athlete village then on the 19th, I think, or the 20th of July. And our first game is the 23rd of July. So yeah, it's going to come around quick. I think, when we leave and then let the excitement happen.
Yeah. Well, I think the fever's already started with kit day, didn't it?
Yeah, we had kit day on last Saturday, which was incredible. The amount of stuff that we got, and I think it really made it start to feel real. Then like you have your athlete number, and we're going as a hockey team, but actually we're part of a bigger team, which is Team Ireland. And I think that's kind of cool to know that you're going out there with a load of different athletes from different sports, and you're representing one big team. And I think when we got our kit bags, our athlete number really kind of brought that home to highlight. I'm one of 200 athletes or whatever that are going to Tokyo to represent Ireland, and yeah, it's cool to be part of that.
Yeah, because you only get that as a European. You only get that at an Olympic Games.
Yeah, exactly. It's it's pretty special.
And the COVID protocols, of course, they've been very strict. How will they be for you guys returning to Ireland after the Games? Have you all been vaccinated now?
Yeah, we're all fully vaccinated. I really don't know what the protocol is when we get back. I don't think anyone's really thought about that. If we have to stay in Japan for another few weeks, I don't think any of us will really mind. But no, I don't know. I think it's probably an ever-changing landscape at the minute with COVID protocols. I know countries are kind of cases are changing all the time. So, where we're at now with government guidelines could be very different to, what they are at the 10th of August, which is, 6 weeks away or whatever. So it'll probably just something we'll have to deal with as we get closer to the time and, adapt as we go.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, it's going to be a tremendous experience for you. I know you'll make Ireland proud. You did 2 years ago at the World Cup, as you said, in London when you came back, the silver medalist there. There's a lot to play for here, but Olympic experience is like unlike any other, and you will forever be an Olympian, Nicci. I mean, there's that.
Yeah, I know. It's really hard to believe. I don't think it's really sunk in, but I've heard a few people say that now, and it's just such an honor really to be part of it and to get selected and to represent, like I said, not just Hockey Ireland, but the whole of Team Ireland and the whole country. And it's definitely the ultimate dream.
It is an inspiration for the next generations coming along who are watching you. So, Nicci, I want to wish you the very, very best of luck. It's going to be an absolute blast, I know, and you'll make every minute count. So enjoy the Olympic experience, and thanks for taking time for stopping by. We'll have to catch up with you later this summer when you get back and hear all about it.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me on, Chris.
And that is our show for this week. Don't forget to follow us on social media at WiSP Sports, and Nancy is at Nancy_Gillen and at givesmesportswomen.com. The show notes accompanying this episode, along with the links to the stories that we cover, are at wispsports.com. We'll be back with lots more news from around the world of women's sports next week at the same time. So until then, thank you for listening and helping us turn up the volume on women's sports. Goodbye for now.